Welcome to the Fulfilment Recipe. Each session is split into two halves, an audio file which explains the theory and the underpinning knowledge behind the practices which you will find on video file in section 2. Good luck. The Fulfilment Recipe with Emma Newham. Session 6, the Law of Attraction. Everything is energy. The planet, the universe, our bodies, cells, molecules, atoms, and then at the very core, there's energy. Energy is our true nature. And we're no different from any other types of energy, sound, light, thoughts. We're just energy that's compressed, dense enough to touch, which forms physical matter. This isn't a new concept. Back in 1925, Einstein wrote the equation E equals mc squared. So on one side that you have light and mass and everything that we perceive. And on the other side, it all equals energy. This deep truth has been taught by indigenous cultures, yogis, sages, for thousands of years. But our modern structural society and our religious beliefs have taken us so far away from that energetic, spiritual, connected reality. If you were to put your hand under a microscope, you'll see it's not actually solid. It's a mass of energy vibrating. The illusion is that it looks solid. The walls look solid. Our furniture looks solid. We look solid. But in reality, it's all a mass of energy vibrating at a very high speed. Everything in the universe vibrates. In other words, everything is moving. But of course, we find it difficult to accept this. We prefer to think of our bodies as skin and blood and flesh and bones. Everything you see, everything you hear, in fact, all of our 5 senses are about that translation of vibration. And that's how we are all able to perceive the environment around us in the way that we do. But our 5 senses don't give us the full picture. Think of the sea. When you look out at sea, the sea may appear a blue colour. However, it's just really a reflection of the colour of the sky. There are certain sounds that the human ear can't perceive. Think of a dog whistle. Now, some dog whistles humans can hear, but there are certain pitches that might be imperceptible to the human ear. But that doesn't mean that that sound doesn't exist. So in a sense, our 5 senses often lie to us. They don't give us the full picture. Part of our journey then is to wake up to the fact that we are pure energy at our core. And quantum science now supports this theory that we're all connected to each other, to the earth and to this physical world because everything is energy. So what are the properties of energy? Well, it has a vibration. It emits a frequency. In fact, we humans are frequency generators. We can measure brain activity with a device called an EEG or electroencephalogram. The brain generates electrical signals, and if you put EEG wires on your head, you can actually see the brain activity printing out. But you may not be as familiar with another device, which is called a magnetoencephalograph. Now here, the probe doesn't actually touch the head, and the device still reads your brain activity with a probe that is outside of your head. And according to Dr. Bruce Lipton, you might then think, well, if this probe isn't touching my head, how can it actually read my brain activity? And you might think, well, then my thoughts are not contained in my head. Dr. Bruce Lipton would say that's right. The concept is that your brain is kind of acting like a tuning fork, and the broadcast from your brain is not actually located inside your head. So you're almost like a radio station. In effect, you're actually broadcasting. The question is, what are you actually broadcasting? Well, the most important form of energy is thought. Every thought has a frequency, and we can measure that with these devices. So what happens if we're thinking the same thought over and over again? Well, we're emitting that frequency on a consistent basis. So the job then is to hold on to the thoughts of what we actually want. We want to be emitting good vibes. You may be loosely familiar with the term vibrational frequency. This really describes our overall state of being. It's a way that we can describe a person or a place in terms of energy, getting good vibes, bad vibes, or high vibes, low vibes. So think of a person. Let's imagine you were at a party in a room full of people and you see one person, you're just kind of, wow, they've got a kind of energy, a presence about them. You might not be able to put your finger on why, but you're kind of drawn to them. And human beings are like magnets. Like attracts like. You will vibe at a particular frequency and be attracted to people who are of the same vibrational frequency as yourself. In contrast with, people that you might meet also at a party in the same room who you just think, oh God, no, they're not my people, they're not my person. Again, there's no particular reason for it. What you're sensing is their energy, they are on the same wavelength as you. And you could be in a place, maybe it's a spiritual place like Lourdes in France, and you're just feeling really peaceful and tranquil and good vibes. There's a good energy about the place. I remember going to buy a house once in my local area, a few miles away, and it was a kind of an L-shaped house. And I remember going into the kitchen and it was overlooking a field, and it was a sunny day and it had a kind of warm glow about it. And I thought, oh, this is really nice. I could see the fields. There's a lovely view and I got a good feeling. And as I walked around the corner into the back of the house, into the kind of L shape, there was just such a contrast in energy. It was colder. It just had a heaviness about it. And again, it's something that you can't necessarily put your finger on. But the two halves of the house, it was like two different houses in terms of energy. It was almost like somebody had died there or something bad had happened. Then you were picking up on those vibes, on that frequency. And as a result, I didn't buy the house. So it's not necessarily that we can't necessarily see energy or even explain it. It's just a sense. If one animal comes up to another animal, they don't need to have a conversation with each other as to, whether one of them is a threat to the other. They can sense that, and they can sense that from a distance. They're reading energy. We're vibrating it all of the time. And the goal of any spiritual work is to raise your vibration, become high vibe. The higher your vibration, the higher your energy, the higher your level of consciousness and level of awareness, the more spiritually advanced, the more godlike, perhaps you could describe it as being. The law of attraction is actually based on the law of vibration. We attract what we send out, a bit like a boomerang. So whatever your thoughts are, whether they're good, whether they're bad, the universe is indifferent. You're sending out, those thoughts are like little bundles of energy that go out there into the universe and are accepted. And then they come back to you in the form of an experience. That's why we need to be really, really careful of our thoughts, because they are vibrating an energy. And low vibration is associated with fear anxiety, sadness, and depression. Let's say something bad happens to you. You're out in the high street, you lose your purse. Oh, you've locked your keys in the car, and now on top of that, you've now got a parking ticket. So now your kind of energy is pulled right down. You feel kind of sick to your stomach, disgusted with yourself. And it's also low vibe energy. We're more prone to depression. We can get ill easy, perform less. Maybe we don't like life as much. We're more tired. Maybe we feel hopeless. And therefore we're prone to errors and mistakes. Whereas high vibration is linked to more positivity, love, joy, peace, compassion. So we want to raise our energy levels for our own benefit. And the more high vibe you are, the more authentic you are. So it's really linked to happiness, high hopes, mental clarity, great health, greater personal power. We tend to perform better. And as a result, we're actually less hungry. So how do we raise our vibration then? Well, there are several ways that you can raise your vibration. One of the first things to do is to become conscious of your thoughts. Everything you think, everything you say eventually becomes your reality. Positive journaling. So whether you are doing journaling late at night before you go to bed, which is a great idea because you're kind of programming your subconscious mind with positive thoughts. Positive journaling and also random acts of kindness are actually linked, according to recent studies, with a 25% increase in your happiness score, because you're focusing your mind on the positive rather than the negative, glass half full kind of attitude. Gratitudes also, again, are linked with an increase in happiness because we're not focusing on doom and gloom and the things that we haven't got. We're really thinking about the things that are in our life right now, focusing on them with a deep sense of gratitude. Helping others, they're all kind of linked, to the same thing. Maybe pass on your parking ticket to the next person that approaches the machine as you're leaving. Help somebody across the road, give somebody a compliment, send somebody some flowers, help others, help your fellow humans. All of those things, positivity, gratitudes, random acts of kindness, they're all linked to high vibration. Exercise gets our energy moving, particularly mindful exercise, things like yoga, Pilates. Those other yogic practices, deep breathing, pranayama, conscious breathing, connects us to a deeper layer of self. Meditation is one of the key ways that we can become aware, self-aware, and raise our consciousness, raise our vibration. Eating healthy foods, fresh fruit and veg, nuts, seeds, raw honey, olive oil, brown rice. So taking care of what we actually put into our system. We're eating foods that hopefully have been grown in the light of the sun. And we're getting that direct energy into our body. So no preservatives, additives, GM, genetically modified foods. We want to kind of reduce. Other techniques are affirmations. So an affirmation can be thought of as kind of programming the mind, a little bit like NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. We're programming the mind with the things that we would like to attract. More about that in a little while. And lastly, I would like to mention visualization here. It's quite a powerful technique. In his book, Becoming Supernatural, Dr. Joe Dispenza gives guidance on a range of studies that were done, including playing the piano and doing some bicep curls in the gym. And he talks about the power of visualization. So in the first experiment, the 5-finger experiment on the piano, there are 3 groups. One group is playing the piano, and their brain scans show that a particular part of the brain lights up when they're playing the piano. The second group just had to visualize and imagine that they were playing the keys on a piano, but without actually touching it. So with the power of visualization alone. And the third group, the control group, did nothing. And what it showed was there was a particular part of the brain that lit up when the first group were actually playing the piano. The other group that had to visualize that they were playing those keys, the same part of the brain lit up, despite the fact that they were not actually touching the piano. Okay, so that's not too unusual. And the control group, nothing happened. No particular part of the brain lit up. The experiment was then done in a sort of exercise environment, with bicep curls being the chosen exercise. And the first group actually did the work. They did the bicep curl with a weight. And again, a particular part of the brain lit up when they were performing the task. The second group, the control group, really had to just visualize that they were in the gym, lifting a weight and doing their bicep curls. And the third group, the control group, did nothing. So once again, similar results. The first group that were actually doing the bicep curl, again, a particular part of the brain lit up while they were performing the task. The second group, the control group, again, just from the powers of visualization, it lit up the same part of the brain. The third group, nothing particularly out of the ordinary happened. But let's come back to that second group. Again, it's not hard to, perhaps accept that, okay, even the power of visualization may result in lighting up a particular part of the brain and stimulating that particular part of the brain. However, what was really, really interesting is that the group that had to visualize themselves doing a bicep curl actually grew muscle mass to the tune of 13%. Now, that's a pretty phenomenal concept, that you can grow muscle by thought alone. But this is what happened. In the other experiment that was cited, an actual cast was placed on the forearm. Like when you break your wrist in hospital and they cover it in plaster so you can't actually move your wrist. And I think that was probably done because, it rules out the element of cheating. Nobody's slyly going in and actually doing a workout behind the scenes. But the same thing happened. The same parts of the brain were lit up when they were doing wrist exercises to strengthen the forearm, the muscles in the forearm. And despite the fact that the second group had to visualize this and had a cast on their arm, so they couldn't cheat. They ruled out any element of cheating because they couldn't actually move the wrist. The same thing happened, lighting up the same part of the brain and actually increasing muscle mass. So something bigger is at play here. We're very powerful creators with intention and visualization and thought alone. We can change the reality around us. And that's a pretty phenomenal concept. And that is kind of what the law of attraction is really all about. It's the ability to attract what we focus on. So it's the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring about positive or negative experiences. So it uses the power of the mind to translate our thoughts into actual reality. So if we focus on doom and gloom, then of course we're going to remain under that dark cloud. So whatever can be imagined in your mind's eye is achievable with the right action and the right effort. We're all like a herd of human magnets, emitting that frequency, sending out thoughts and emotions and attracting exactly what we put out. But of course, many of us are blind to this potential. And as a consequence, our thoughts and emotions go out there and are unchecked. And so wrong thoughts attract unwanted emotions and events into your life. So every thought we think and every word we speak is creating our future. Our thoughts go out into the universe. Universe is indifferent. They get accepted and they are brought back to us as an experience. It's quite a simple concept, but most people don't get it. They might not have heard about it before. They think it's crazy. But if you can accept it, then you start to begin to paint your future. You are creating your life. It is a simple concept, but simple doesn't mean it's easy. Not easy to accept. But when you can accept it, miracles start to occur. According to Louise Hay, every word you speak is an affirmation. Think about your general everyday conversations with people, how they say, oh, it's not a good day today. Oh, isn't the weather crap? Or, oh, I'm such a bad sleeper. Really be aware what you're saying that follows the words I am. Make sure it's positive. Check in with yourself at various points during the day. Check your thoughts. What am I thinking right now? Would I like this thought to create my future reality? Is this the direction you want to go? So we need to be mindful of our thoughts and our words, becoming more conscious of what we are attracting. If you want to attract good things, we have to think positively. Since everything starts with a thought, that thought eventually turns into an action. The reason we're drinking a cup of tea is because we first thought, I'm thirsty. I fancy a cup of tea. So we're manifesting the energy of thought into physical reality. You can even find echoes of this in the Bible under Matthew 7:7. It goes like this: ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. Keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. But remember at the same time, be careful what you wish for, because you might get something and it might not be exactly how you'd hoped. So be mindful. We are such powerful creators. One of my friends kept a scrapbook from her early 20s, really, for years. And in this scrapbook, she cut out pictures of the things that she wanted in her life, the type of car she wanted to drive, the type of job she wanted to do, even down to the ring that she wanted to get engaged with, holidays, all of the pictures of what she wanted to attract were in this scrapbook. And I can tell you now that everything in that scrapbook happened. So whether it's thought that you're putting out there, whether it's the spoken word, whether it's the written word, whether you're visualizing it or whether you're making a physical scrapbook, it's all energy that's going out there into the universe and then gets turned somehow into physical reality. So be responsible for what you create and own it. And remember, the universe knocks 3 times. So pay attention to the signposts. So let's say, for example, you wanted to buy a yellow Mini. You really loved that kind of car and you wanted it in the colour yellow. All of a sudden, you might have had this experience. You're out in the car And all of a sudden you start seeing yellow minis. It just happens that way. Or you might think of a friend and all of a sudden they pick up the phone and they ring you. There's a bigger thing. We're all connected out there. So pay attention to the signposts. The universe can't speak in words. So look at the signposts. So you might consider, moving home. And then all of a sudden you come home and there's a letter from the local estate agent looking for properties in your area. You might get then a phone call from a friend who's thinking about moving house. Then you open the paper or put on TV and it's a property program. So you're kind of getting these subtle signs from the universe to tell you that perhaps maybe it's time to move. So again, own what you create. And that includes things that are negative. Perhaps you might be going through a tough time. If we consistently blame others and don't own it because we think, well, I'm a good person. I don't deserve this. Maybe not in this lifetime you've been a good person, but maybe in a previous lifetime you've got some karma to pay and it's coming back for you and playing out in this lifetime. Maybe you've just got some lessons to learn, some lessons that you signed up for in this life or previous lives. So the point is to see the bigger picture. Don't take it personally. Don't be the victim. And we become bolder and wiser as a result. I always think most change is for the better. You might be stuck in a job that you think, oh, this job is all right. It's a cushy little number, but maybe it's not challenging you. And then all of a sudden, they're making people redundant. But then something better comes along that is kind of more exciting and new. Maybe it's you're getting a pay rise. Maybe it's closer to home. These things, once situations, people, jobs, homes, once they've run their course and you've needed to learn what you've needed to learn, it's time to move on to the next stage of your evolvement. But as human beings, we often fear change. But I believe that most change is for the better. You've outgrown that situation and there's something new and exciting. So again, it's how we perceive change. A lot of people like to wear their comfy slippers. Better the devil you know. The grass isn't always greener. All of that kind of attitude. If we can just let go, surrender, and go with the flow of life where it's taking us, it will take us to the destination that we need to be at. And sometimes along that rocky road, there is some pain and some trauma and some stress. But it's sent to make us evolve, to wake us up to our true nature. So if we can accept that the energy that we're putting out there will have consequences and will come back to us, then maybe we might start doing things differently. Think of the definition of madness. Remember, doing the same thing and expecting a different result? Well, if what you're doing isn't currently working, then what have you got to lose by doing something differently? So maybe you could start small. I often say, ask for the green lights when you come to the traffic. When I'm out and about and I want to go to a particular place and I want to get a parking space right outside, I kind of manifest that. I ask the angels, can I please have a parking space right outside this particular shop? It's amazing how you get the green lights and how a parking space suddenly starts to appear. So start small. Don't be asking to win the lottery. Start small and see what happens. The law of attraction is very closely linked to the law of manifestation and also the law of intention. Really, intention is everything. If somebody intends to write a book, it's better than, I hope to write a book. Intention is very powerful. We need to manifest our intentions into being. We need to act as if it's already happened. So for example, Many years ago, I wanted to get pregnant and it wasn't really happening. And so what I started doing is putting the law of manifestation into action, acting as if it was already happening. I started taking folic acid and the pregnancy vitamins. I watched programs on TV to do with births and babies. I bought pregnancy magazines. I even had a baby's name book by my bed. I drank raspberry leaf tea because it was apparently good for the womb. I did everything I could to act as if I was already pregnant. And I had tried for 18 months and it hadn't worked. But as soon as I started doing this, I was pregnant within 2 months. So it's a very, very powerful technique. In fact, one of the spiritual techniques is to get the thoughts of what you want out of your mind. So from thought format to written word. You're writing a wish list. So from thought to pen to paper, writing down exactly what you want to attract, and then going outside and speaking those words that you've written out to the universe, and then burn the piece of paper. And that's it. Kind of wash your hands of it and have blind faith and trust that it's going to happen, that the universe has taken care of it. So imagine you're in the local Italian restaurant and the waiter comes over and you say, "Can I order a plate of pasta, please?" Now that's a very vague and generic order. So the waiter comes back and he brings you a plate of pasta. But it's spaghetti carbonara. And actually you wanted penne arrabbiata. Well, you can't really complain because you weren't specific. And that's what we need to start doing. We need to get specific with exactly what we want. Hey, look, I'd like a plate of penne arrabbiata, extra chili, sprinkle some parmesan and some fresh basil on the top, please. Thanks very much. So you've got to get really specific with exactly what you want. Perhaps you're trying to attract a new job. So if you're going to write things down to attract a better job, then perhaps you might write things like, I would like a job within this particular location or a radius of this location. I would like to attract this type of salary. I would like to perform these kinds of roles. So you're getting really specific so that the universe is going to bring you more of what you want. Or if you wanted to move home, do you want to live by the beach? Do you want to be in the countryside? Do you want to be bright lights, big city? Do you want to live in a block of flats or a cottage? So as much information as you can is going to help the universe deliver your wishes. And a little tip here, just so you don't rule out something that you hadn't considered. Once you've narrowed down the things that you want to attract, I always write, I would like this or something better. Because then it kind of leaves it open for something that to come into your life that may be better than what you'd originally imagined. So don't limit yourself with a very specific list by putting the sentence at the end, I would like this or something better. Then it leaves it open to something that you might have not considered before that might actually suit you better. Then you've got to have a certain amount of blind faith that what you've asked for will come into fruition. It's a little bit like planting seeds, really. You've got to trust that your order is taken care of. You don't plant seeds and then every couple of days uproot them to see how they're growing. You just trust that given the right conditions, sunlight, water, that those seeds are going to germinate for you. You just trust that that's going to happen. It's a bit like your order of pasta. You don't barge into the kitchen every 5 minutes demanding where your pasta is. You just trust that when the pasta is ready, the waiter will bring it to you. So patience is required. Everything in divine timing. If it's not happening quickly enough for you, maybe there's a little bit of work for you to do. If you're stuck, maybe a little bit of forgiveness to do. Maybe you need to let go of the past. Think of the law of flow. Out with the old, in with the new. I always use the example of a wardrobe. A wardrobe that is stuffed with clothes that you've accumulated over the years. And you want to update your wardrobe with some new clothes for summer. But in fact, you can't buy those new clothes because there's just no room in that wardrobe. So in order to get those new clothes, you're going to have to get rid of some of the old clothes that you no longer wear and that are no use to you anymore. So it's kind of clearing out that old stuff that you don't need anymore to invite that new wardrobe, those new clothes into your life. That's the law of flow. Out with the old, in with the new. Maybe if we are stuck, maybe some forgiveness work, something to let go of, moving out of the past, letting go of old emotions. Maybe we have to do just a little bit of work on ourselves before we get the goodies. Now, just as you can write a wish list for the things that you'd like to attract and that you want in your life, you can also use that same technique for letting go of the things that no longer serve you, that you want out of your life. Maybe you want anger or bitterness or resentment. Maybe it might be a particular job, a situation, or a person. Again, it's the same technique that you can ask for. Write your list, take it outside, verbalize it, and then burn it. Aside from writing wish lists and burning it, another technique for attracting what you want in your life is to do some affirmations. An affirmation is really a positive statement that is said in the present tense. For example, I am fit, healthy, and well. There are certain rules around affirmations. It's got to be in the present tense. You don't want to say something like, I will be financially abundant, because will means it's somewhere in the future and it's always going to stay there. You have to bring it into the now. I am financially abundant. It's also got to contain only positive language because the universe doesn't hear the negative. So, for example, if I said to you, don't think of a pink elephant, the first thing that you think of is a pink elephant because the universe does not hear the negative. So it's got to be in the present tense and in positive language. You don't want to be chasing it all of the time. So some reasons why affirmations perhaps might not work. Let's say, for example, you are in debt and maybe you have financial worries. And then your affirmation becomes something like, I am financially abundant. So although you're saying the words, I am financially abundant, and maybe you're saying that for 5 minutes every morning or 30 times or however many times a day. And then the rest of the time, you're spending worrying about your bank balance, looking at your bank statements, constantly thinking and worrying about debt. Well, think of the balance of scales, the amount of time that you spend doing positive affirmations, which might be 5 minutes, and then you're spending hours thinking the opposite and attracting that. So there's an imbalance here. So that's one reason why the affirmations might not work. Often, an affirmation might be outside of your belief system. And there's actually been studies on this. where affirmations that are outside of the realm of somebody's belief system actually make you feel worse. So, for example, if you're not in the best of health and you choose an affirmation, I am healthy, fit and well, the words might come out of your mouth, but the feeling that you get internally is like, no, you're not, you're really ill. And it kind of causes a conflict within, because the words that you're speaking are not in agreement with the way that you are feeling. And the feeling is much stronger. So the universe responds to the feeling if it's stronger than the words. So if you don't believe what you're saying, then a really good word to insert is the word choose. I choose to be healthy again. I choose to be well. If it's about loving yourself, for example, then you could say, I choose to love and accept myself. If it's hard for you to say, I love myself. So inserting the word choose can bring the affirmation into the realm of your belief system. It's more acceptable to us. So now we're not in such conflict with the feeling that might be generated if we don't believe the words that we're saying. I had a client come to my law of attraction one-off workshop at my studio, and she'd been already putting the law of attraction into place, but it wasn't seeming to be working for her. And I was telling a story about, a good affirmation to use, particularly at the beginning of the day when you're kind of programming the subconscious mind. I said, try using this affirmation. There are no problems. Nothing is going to ruin my day. Now, you can be forgiven for thinking, the universe in its infinite wisdom is kind of toying with you. Okay, let's throw a problem her way. It's kind of testing your faith, really. And of course, often people fall at the first hurdle. Oh, these affirmations don't work. I'm saying there are no problems. Nothing's going to ruin my day. And then something comes along and ruins my day. This isn't working. You can be forgiven for thinking that. But if you can see the bigger picture, and when the problem comes along, you can think, here's the universe testing me to see if my affirmation and my faith in it is working. I could make this a problem, or I could recall my affirmation at this precise moment in time and repeat to myself, there are no problems. Nothing is going to ruin my day. And I'm going to ignore this. I'm going to let this one slip by. Don't sweat the small stuff. I'm not going to take this to the grave. I can let it go. There are no problems, right? It's kind of, here's the test. Otherwise, how do you know if your affirmation is working if you're not tested? You've got to be sent something by the universe to shake your faith, okay? Louise Hay, author, has a really great, had a really great affirmation for herself, and it was this: only good lies before me. So it really doesn't matter what the day brings, because whatever happens, it's going to be good. So the universe has a funny way of playing with us and testing us, shaking our faith. I always remember Louise Hay said, kind of think of life's journey as a road, this kind of windy road, and we get certain lessons along the way. And maybe, there are little pebbles in the way, and that might represent a kind of small life lesson. But then once in a while, you come across a great big boulder. Now, they're the big things in life, betrayal, abandonment issues, abuse, all of those big things that happen in life that we've got to deal with. And then, we get over things, we evolve, hopefully grow, learn lessons. But again, how do you know you've learned your lesson? You might think to yourself, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again. I've learned my lesson, but have you? How do you know truly unless that same lesson comes around again for you, and are you going to deal with it differently? Of course, different person, different set of circumstances, but nevertheless, the lesson is the same. How do you know you've learned your lesson until it comes around again, And she talks about, there's that kind of boulder again. It's not so big, but I see it's there. It's given me an opportunity to do it differently this time around, to test me, to see if I have truly learned that lesson. So affirmations and wish lists are really great things to do to help manifest the positive things that you wish to attract in your life. If you're doing a wish list, remember it's really, really powerful to burn it on the evening of the new moon. Remember, the new moon is all about new beginnings. It's a great time to manifest. I think one of my favourite stories is from a lady I know who wanted to do a counselling course. And she had a chat with me. It was a Friday morning and I was driving to work, and she was humming and hawing, and I said, "You've got to go for it. If this is what you really want to do, make it happen." And I said, as it happens, it's a new moon the day after. It was on the Saturday. I said, so write your wish list, burn it, and, see what happens. And on the Sunday, she contacted me and showed some pictures of her burning her wish list. And she did that on the Saturday night. And on the Sunday morning, they got gifted, her and her husband got gifted a cheque for £10,000 from somebody that they knew. And she just couldn't believe it. I mean, I couldn't believe it either, to be honest with you. I've never heard of the universe delivering that quickly. But what she'd actually asked for is the £7,000 to cover the cost of the course, plus a little bit extra, because she would have to take some time out of work. And so then this cheque dropped in, and I just thought that was a really amazing story. So bear that in mind. You've got to have the belief behind it, the energy behind it, and then blind faith and trust that the universe will deliver when the timing is right. And clearly, in this case, the timing was right. I love that story. But if you prefer a more evidence-based approach, then listen to this. Dr. Joe Dispenza is an international author and presenter. He combines the teachings from spirituality with evidence-based research and neuroscience. During one of his many workshops, he took 120 participants and measured their cortisol and their IgA levels before and after the workshop. Cortisol is a stress hormone responsible for the fight and flight response. It basically suppresses our immune system, and it makes us more susceptible to disease as a result. So when cortisol levels increase, the levels of IgA decrease. IgA, or immunoglobulin A, is a powerful antibody, and it plays a key role in the health of the body. It's basically responsible for a healthy immune system, and it's the best immune booster we can have. Over a 4-day period, the participants were asked to focus on the emotions of love, joy, and gratitude for a period of 10 minutes, and they did that 3 times per day. The question was, if you can elevate yourself to an emotional state, is it then possible to reduce the stress hormones like cortisol and at the same time raise the immune system? The conclusion at the end of the experiment was that the cortisol levels dropped by 3 standard deviations, and the levels of IgA increased from 52 to 86. This shows that we have the power within ourselves to affect our own health. Just from thought, visualization, and intention, this can produce significant epigenetic changes in our bodies. Back in 2004, Dr. Masaru Emoto wrote a New York Times best-selling book entitled The Hidden Messages in Water. He wanted to show that water could react to positive thoughts, words and pictures, and that polluted water could be cleaned through prayer and positive visualization. He claimed that water was a blueprint for our reality and that emotional energies and vibrations could change its physical structure. So he set about collecting various water samples from mountain lakes, rivers, streams, holy places, sacred spaces. And he would take it home and put a droplet under a high-powered microscope and freeze it. And what he noticed was it formed these beautiful geometric patterns under the microscope, and he took photos of those patterns, in contrast with water that was exposed to pollution, which then formed kind of these ugly, distorted, randomly formed ice-like structures. He then experimented with the effect of music on water. Playing Bach or Mozart produced these, again, geometric shaped crystalline snowflake patterns, whilst playing heavy metal music had the adverse effect. It would be those dispersed shaped patterns. From there, he put water in a jar on a windowsill, and every day he would say, "I love you, I love you, I love you so much," to the water. The same thing happened. It would form these beautiful patterns, in contrast to the jar of water that he said the words, "I hate you, I want to kill you." Again, dispersed water, random patterns, ugly patterns. And finally, he then did the same experiment with water, jars of water on the windowsill. But instead of saying the actual words, he just printed a label and stuck a label on the jars, "I love you so much," or "I hate you, I want to kill you." So just the actual words in written format. And again, the same thing happens. The crystals in the water dispersed. It was ugly when the label on the jar said, "I hate you, I want to kill you." And those beautiful geometric patterns were the result of the water that contained the label, "I love you so much." So if human thoughts and intentions can physically alter the molecular structure of water, then what significance is that to us? Well, we are 80% water. By being mindful of our thoughts and our emotions, then we can positively influence the molecular structure of the water inside of our bodies. And we can also become more aware of the power of our thoughts, our intentions on our words, and how they can affect ourselves, our health, our well-being, and those around us. So how does this tie in then with the law of attraction? Remember, like attracts like is one of the fundamental principles of this spiritual law. And Dr. Emoto's work supports this idea, showing that positive thoughts, emotions, and intentions can attract positive experiences, while negative emotions, thoughts, and intentions do the exact opposite. So therefore, we must be mindful of our thoughts, our words, and our emotions, and so that we can align ourselves with the positive energies of the universe and therefore attract more of what we wish for into our lives. So with all of that said, I think it's time to get manifesting and do your wish list. Now it's time for the practical element to begin. Begin by finding a comfortable position. Spending a few moments to get into the headspace for meditation.
allowing all thoughts to subside, coming to a place of stillness. Connecting with your deeper self. Start to relax your body. Allowing the feet to just fall into a comfortable position. A feeling of relaxation to fill your feet and toes, loosening the ankles, the lower legs, and the knees, feeling heavy, allowing that relaxation to continue, relaxing the upper legs, letting the muscles of the thighs completely release. Relaxing the hips, pelvis and buttocks. Softening the belly. Releasing the spine. Allowing the muscles to give up their hold. Letting this relaxation spread to your chest, the sides. Feeling very relaxed, very heavy. Letting the hands relax all the way from your fingertips to your wrists. Feeling your lower arms relaxing and letting go. Releasing the elbows and upper arms. Allowing the shoulders to just melt away from the ears, free from any tension. Allowing the neck muscles to release, completely letting go. Relaxing the facial muscles, the scalp and the head. Feeling your entire body going deeper and deeper into a relaxed state. Feeling limp, heavy, comfortable. The whole body relaxed, free from tension. Now bring to your mind's eye a small town full of cobblestones, small shops around you, people coming and going, bikes lining the roads. You can hear the cars in the distance from the main roads. You follow the cobblestones as they lead gently along the path outside of the town. As you follow the path, the hustle and bustle and the noise around you from the town start to subside. Just up ahead of you, you notice a little doorway. It's a small opening that looks like a retreat from the world around you. The doorway is small and inviting, and you walk up towards it, and you gently push and open inside the narrow entrance. Inside, it's warm and calm. It's full of candlelight, and it shelters you from the external world. You feel safe. You're standing on a red carpet. Down beneath you is a flight of stairs. Now slowly make your way down each step, gently, one at a time. And with each step you take, the outside world becomes quieter and quieter, and you begin to feel heavier and heavier as you sink into a state of peace and calm. You've now reached the bottom of the stairs, and you feel completely relaxed. There are no sounds from the outside world now, and it all seems so far away. In front of you is a tall wooden door. It has no handle with which to open it. You notice the grains in the wood, the color and the texture. You place your hand on the door. And as you place your hand on the door begins to open. As the door releases, you feel a sense of release in your own body. Inside the door, there's a small room. It has no windows, but it's full of books. Every kind of book you can imagine. A huge library of knowledge and information. The room has a domed ceiling. The door now closes behind you. This room is secluded and private, and you feel safe and content. In the middle of the room, there's a small desk and a chair. And you walk over to the desk, pull out the chair and sit down. In the center of the desk, there's an old leather-bound book. You feel the book. Get a sense of the weight, and you wipe away the dust. A sense of wonder pervades your mind and body. This book has been here waiting for you for a very long time. It's time for you to open the book. And you notice that all of the pages inside are blank. This is a book of liberation. And it has the power to free you from anything in your life that is weighing you down, any problems you may encounter, any fears or anxieties, anything that is bothering you. There's an old quill pen next to the book. Dip it in the ink and just take a moment to consider any troubles that you might have, any issues that you're battling with, any situation that is worrying you, anything that is blocking you, any events that frighten you, any person you're in conflict with, any negative thoughts or emotions that are holding you back. It's time to write in the book now. Write down anything that is burdening you, There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just simply allow and imagine your feelings and thoughts making an impression in this book. Take your time to allow any images to arise in your mind, allowing your emotions and feelings to flow, flooding out onto the pages, filling this book with any concerns that you have. The book absorbs them all. Pages filling with pictures, impressions, words. And as the pages begin to feel, you notice your body and mind begin to feel lighter, more positive. For you have been heard. You have been understood. And you feel reassured, safe, relieved. The book now begins to close all on its own. And now that domed roof begins to open, and you stare up at the roof in wonder as it reveals the clear blue sky above. As you stare in amazement at the sky, your body begins to float, and your feet lift away from the floor. A wave of excitement floods through your body and mind as you realize that you have the ability to fly anywhere that you choose. You raise your arms up in the air and you float higher and higher. With effortless ease, you float up into the sky. A sense of freedom floods your body. The town below you begins to fade into the distance. Houses and shops becoming smaller and smaller as you leave the world behind and float high up into the heavens, passing beyond the clouds, feeling free as a bird, complete joy and bliss pervading your body and mind. You fly even higher into the universe, leaving all worldly concerns and problems far behind you. Out into outer space, floating in a vast emptiness. The earth a tiny blue sphere behind, miles and miles away, traveling through galaxies, beyond space, basking in the beauty of the stars, completely at peace, a sense of weightlessness. The darkness around you is warm, comforting. You slip deeper into a sense of complete calm and serenity, connected to the entire universe, beyond space, beyond time. Feeling part of a vast, unified consciousness, free from all concerns about the past, from all concerns about the future, knowing that your life is unfolding in perfect order, in divine timing, according to a perfect plan. Releasing your grip on life, not striving for anything, allowing the natural flow and order of life to take care of your needs. Resisting nothing, wanting for nothing. Allowing all moments of your life to come and go, accepting them all. The joyful moments, the painful moments, they will all resolve in time. As you connect with your deeper self and the universe around you, creativity floods through you. Insight and inspiration come to you. Your path forward becoming clearer and clearer. Trusting in the natural flow of life. Gratefully receiving all experience that comes your way. It's now time to return to the earth. And you fly back down through the cosmos, down to the earth below. Through the sky, through the multicolored clouds, seeing the green countryside underneath you. Flying back down seeing the treetops of the forest. Landing gently on your 2 feet firmly on the ground in the middle of a forest. Tall, stately trees around you. The sunlight peeking through the treetops, and the sound of birdsong around you. A sense of gratitude for this life. You hear the babbling of a stream up ahead, and you continue along the path. You feel hot, and you decide to take a dip into the cool, cleansing waters of the stream, splashing your face, cleansing, rejuvenating, cool water. You then notice a little box by the side of the stream up ahead. You begin to walk towards it. There's a key on the grass beside the box. And you take the key and open up the box. There's a small sheet of paper and a red pen inside. Take a moment. This is your chance to write down any wish that you have. Any hopes or dreams, any goals you want to achieve, anything at all that you want to attract into your life. Now is your chance to write that down onto the piece of paper now. Seeing the words being impressed uponto the paper. And when you're finished writing, gently fold the piece of paper and place it back inside the box, closing the lid gently. And as the lid closes, the box seems to float up off the ground, hovering above your head, continuing to rise up above the trees, into the sky above, becoming smaller and smaller, with just a dot and then it fades from view altogether. You feel content, knowing the universe has taken care of your wishes and desires. You feel whole and fulfilled. Just take a moment to revel in the sensations of contentment, connectedness, and bliss. And then gently withdraw your mind, just noticing that dark space in front of your closed eyes. It's time to end the meditation now. Just gradually bring yourself back into the room, into the space. Taking your mind out externally to the world of the five senses. Noticing the sounds around you. And then gently start to wiggle your fingers and toes. And slowly, you might have a little stretch. Bringing yourself into the present moment. Opening the eyes gently. And when you feel ready and able, gently roll onto your side and take all of the time you need to come back to sitting.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. For further information, resources, or to make a donation, visit www.emmanewhamfitness.com. Thanks.